The CRTC wants to know how radio, TV, and digital platforms in Canada can best meet the needs of Indigenous viewers, listeners, and content creators. Join the conversation today at crtc.gc.ca/indigenous-broadcasting.
A message from the Government of Canada.
Le CRTC veut savoir comment la radio, la télévision et les plateformes numériques au Canada peuvent mieux répondre aux besoins des spectateurs, auditeurs et créateurs de contenu autochtones. Joignez-vous à la conversation aujourd'hui au crtc.gc.ca/radiodiffusion-union autochtone.
Un message du gouvernement du Canada.
I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Monday, June 3rd. A Manitoba mother has spoken out following a disturbing encounter at home with the Winnipeg Police Service, an incident captured on security camera. Sierra Bettens reports.
Oh, you didn't have to almost push me down the stairs.
You were trying to prevent us from coming inside.
No, I didn't.
On May 21st, the day of her birthday, Charity Tom awoke at 4 a.m. to an unexpected banging on her door. It was the Winnipeg Police Service. They said they received multiple calls about an unsupervised 2-year-old child running around outside her house. Tom told officers they had the wrong address and that her kids were inside sleeping. Minutes later, the police knocked again. This time, they came in.
Come in, okay? It's not this house. It is. Okay. Oh my God.
It is.
What are you doing?
Home security footage obtained by APTN News shows an obviously upset Tom asking for a badge number.
I asked the other cops, I was like, did you guys see that? You could hear it on the camera. And by then, the other guy was like, twisted my arm and held me down. And I was trying to stand up and they wouldn't let me. They were saying that I was tensing up or something. Yet I just wanted to stand up.
As officers searched her house, Tom insisted it wasn't her child they were looking for.
What's that badge number?
Get up.
Go on. Sergi.
You want to get up?
I just told you.
So then stop acting like a
You.
Okay? Stop here. I'm going to bring the
I'm
drunk
not doing anything.
Stay
Just let
here.
go. I'm trying to stand up.
Despite being threatened with a drunk tank, Tom says she was sober the whole time. The video ends with an officer asking Tom, quote, "Do you want to get arrested or not?" unquote.
Do you want to get arrested or not?
In an email sent to APTN News, Winnipeg Police confirmed that officers answered a call about an unsupervised 2-year-old child at 4 a.m. on May 21st. Quote, "Attending officers verified the well-being of the child despite an uncooperative caregiver," unquote. Tom has 3 kids. The older ones are 18 and 15. The third, her youngest, is 7. For now, Tom says she's too afraid of the police to report the incident. She believes this was a case of racial profiling and wants an apology. The Winnipeg Police Service say no charges were laid, but would not provide further information on the incident to, in their words, protect the child's identity. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Convicted serial killer Robert Picton has died. Officials confirmed the 74-year-old recently succumbed to injuries sustained in an attack by a fellow inmate at the Port Cartier Maximum Prison east of Quebec City. Tina House now with the reaction of family members of some of his victims.
Officials are finally confirming the death of Robert Picton. Joining me today are family members of some of his victims. Sarah DeVries. Sarah, can you tell me a little bit about your story and who is in the picture here?
So this is my mother. We share the same name. So she's Sarah DeVries Sr. She went missing in 1998 after my father's birthday. And I can just say with all confidence that her soul and her spirit is finally at peace.
Also joining us today is Michelle Pinot. Michelle, your beautiful daughter, Stephanie Lane, here is featured on your bag. Can you tell me a little bit about her story?
Yeah, Stephanie went missing in January of 1997. So for 6 years, we didn't know where she was. It was just her birthday the other day. I was hoping that Picton wouldn't pass on her birthday. That would have been the worst thing I could think of. But I'm good now. I'm good.
Hearing the news of his passing, has that given you a sense of justice?
Yes, it does, because we would have never got justice in Stephanie's case. So yes, I feel 1,000 tons lighter today.
Palahelsia, Lorelei Williams. Lorelei, who do you have in the photo here with you?
I have my cousin Tanya Holick. She went missing in 1996. She was my older, beautiful cousin who was a protector of us.
And how are you feeling after hearing the words that Robert Picton has died?
I am feeling overwhelmed with emotions. Like, it's very, very, I don't even know how to explain it. I never knew how this would feel, but it's some sort of justice for me. Yeah.
There's still so many questions yet to be answered. He self-proclaimed to have killed up to 49 women, was only convicted of 6, but was on trial for about 33. I mean, there is evidence that's about to be destroyed from the RCMP. Picton himself implicated others. Sarah, how are you feeling now, and what would you like to happen next?
I would like to see the preservation of the evidence, and I'd like to see something more come from that. I'm just not quite sure what that looks like at this point.
Michelle, final words?
The evidence, I think, is very important. Myself, I think this is the only justice I'm going to get. So I am extremely, extremely happy today.
Lorelei, what would you like to see for next steps?
Next steps is to fight for that evidence to stay. That was why I said some sort of justice, because with him goes the evidence, and I am going to fight for that evidence to be brought out.
APTN's Tina House in Vancouver. More news in a moment.
APTN Investigates delivers impactful, Indigenous-focused stories. On this week's show,
I'm Rob Smith. Life in Vancouver's downtown east side is devastating for people just trying to survive. Wars on the poor, the drug war, crisis after crisis for the unhoused. Watch for tales of survival in my episode, Wrecking Crew.
APTN Investigates, Friday, immediately following APTN National News.
A Winnipeg-owned grocery store is in the spotlight for how its staff handles shoplifting. A few weeks ago, an alleged assault on a First Nations woman inside the store made headlines. Ever since then, the owners claim they've been the subject of violence. T.R. Wheatley has more.
Bring some frozen back ribs out, please.
For over 20 years, Munther Zeed's family have owned 5 food fair stores in Winnipeg. He's known around the city for his aggressive way of tackling shoplifting, especially at this location. Zeed says he's invested in over 36 security cameras here, and still things are getting worse.
Walk me through this particular incident here.
Well, this happened last week, Friday. 2 ladies walk up to cars. The white car is a cousin's car. The black car is my brother's. You will see them approach the car, smash the windows, spray some sort of a liquid into them, and then you're going to see a huge fireball. There we go. So I don't know if they got hurt from that. These 2 girls that came in the day before on Thursday, they were also escorted out for shoplifting. And the type of language they used is, "You think you can do to us what you did to that lady a couple of weeks ago?"
In that altercation last month, a staff member allegedly punched a First Nation woman who allegedly was caught shoplifting. Her son was jostled. That incident led to the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs pulling their Jordan's Principle food voucher program from Food Fair. Soon after, police were called to another incident. This time, 3 employees were taken to hospital with upper body injuries after a violent brawl with 5 teenagers. Zeed says they also mentioned the incident involving the mom and her son.
So they were told either shop or leave. They walked around. One tried to steal. We stopped them, escorted them out. They came back about an hour later, 5 guys. And as you can see, went crazy on my staff, especially one, and he's the one that escorted them out.
That same day, there was supposed to be a joint press conference with food fair owners and the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, but it was cancelled with no real explanation. Zeed would only say now that he continues to remain hopeful for a forthcoming announcement.
And I'm proud to say that I received a call today from the executive director of the AMC that we're going to be sitting down to talking against violence, talking against shoplifting, how we can work together in preventing situations like this.
APTN reached out to Winnipeg Police to see if any charges have been laid in any of the 3 incidents to date. In an email response, they would only say the entirety of these incidents are being investigated by the Major Crimes Unit. As for the staff member involved in the first incident, Zeed says he is suspended pending police investigation. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And finally, the Federal Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations was at the University of Saskatchewan Friday, there to announce funding for the Canadian Light Source. Funding will support efforts to incorporate Indigenous knowledge into Western science. Rachel May explains.
Traditional knowledge really has medicinal value. It can compete with science in every way.
On Friday, it was announced by the Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Gary Anand-Sangari that $83 million will be given over 3 years to the Canadian Light Source to help further Indigenous research. The Canadian Light Source is a national research facility that produces the brightest light in the country, which scientists use in health, environment, and agriculture research. Canadian Light Source is working on projects that bridge the gap between Indigenous teachings and modern science. Dallas Pelly is part of the education team at the Canadian Light Source.
We've actually had Indigenous students from Carry the Kettle come, and they brought bison hair, and they put the bison hair in the beam line, and they were able to examine the chemical composition of that hair.
An additional $30 million is being donated to the International Vaccine Center at the University of Saskatchewan. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Monday, June 3rd. I'm Rick Harp.